My dear friends, once again welcome to Sur Sangam Reflections from Jaipur. I am Father Edward Oliveira, and we reflected last Sunday about the Sermon on the Mount, where I said it is very important for us to understand those tenets which were given by Jesus Christ, that we should be people who know what we are doing, because that is insaniyat, that is being human. Today, Jesus tells us, let your light shine. And then he says, you should be like salt which gives taste. And the third thing he says is that city built on a hill cannot be hidden. Friends, what does that all mean? It means that if there is a light, it must shine. We cannot have a light which is hidden. For the aspect of light is this, that it must shine and give light to others. It gives warmth, it also shows a direction, and it also enlightens others. Similarly, we have salt. Salt was very important in the olden days, much more than now, because it not only gave taste, but it was also used as a preservative. Similarly, if there is something built on a hill, of course, that cannot be hidden, it will always be seen. I would like to bring you a little aspect of a person called Gladys Staines. You know very well that in Orissa, there was Graham Staines and his two little children. They were working in a hospital for the lepers. For many years they were working there, they were foreigners. And he married a woman called Gladys Staines. People loved them because they were working for the poorest of the poor people. But there were certain people who were against them because they felt that they're doing something against the community. And therefore, one fine night, they were burnt alive. Both Graham Staines and the little children. That was something terrible that could happen. And the whole world was struck by this terrible incident. But then what happened was much more than that. Not because people took revenge on them, but because Gladys Staines was ready to forgive. She came to India and said, I forgive, and I would like to continue the work which was already done. Friends, she was the light of the world. In other words, she did much more than what ordinary people do, especially people who want to take a revenge. The another incident I want to talk about, Sister Rani Maria. You know very well, she was brutally killed when she was traveling in a bus. But later on, when that man who was caught, he was kept in a prison for many years. Her own sisters came and forgave that person. Not only that, they tied a rakhi on that man and he was converted. Similarly, my dear friends, you know very well what Jesus himself did. As he was dying on the cross, he said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they are doing. Friends, this is one way of showing how we can shine as a light. In other words, our good deeds must be seen. Even if we are good people and we stay all by ourselves, nothing will happen to the world. But when we go out of the way to be good to others, then we can really change the world. Similarly, not only in these cases, you take a good doctor, for example. He doesn't work only for himself, but for others. He cures millions of people. And thus he shows that he is the light of the world. And same way, there are nurses who are working. There are people who are social workers who are working. And there are many, many others, even for that matter, politicians. Nelson Mandela, a person who said, I would like to leave the jail and not have any hatred, bitterness towards those people. Why? Because he said, I don't want to carry those same way by which they had murdered, that kept me inside. Friends, today when we speak about all this, let us remember that you and I should be the one who give taste to this community where we live, in this world. Why? Because when we live like that, we make a different world. We spread the kingdom of God. मेरे प्यारे भाइयों और बहनों, आज प्रभु सच कहता है, तुम ज्योति हो। ज्योति क्या करता है? जो वहां पर अंधकार है, अंधेरा है, उसको दूर भगाता है। इसीलिए किसी ने सच कहा है कि हम अंधेरे को नहीं कोसे, बल्कि एक कैंडल, एक ज्योति को जलाएं, ताकि न केवल हमारे लिए बल्कि दूसरों के लिए भी वह प्रज्वलित हो जाए। ज्योति से ज्योति जो हम कहते हैं, इससे क्या होगा? अक्सर हम क्या देखते हैं, पिछले दिनों में हमने देखा दो लोग झगड़ा कर रहे थे, एक ही कम्युनिटी के लोग, एक ही परिवार के लोग, और केवल 2 इंच के लिए उन्होंने मर्डर किया। यह हम हर दिन देखते हैं, एक परिवार में 2 लोगों के बीच, एक कम्युनिटी के अंदर, एक नेशंस के अंदर। और इससे क्या होता है? हेट्रेड यानी दुश्मनी बढ़ जाती है और अंधकार फैल जाता है, और इसमें कुछ भी अच्छा नहीं होता है, बल्कि अंधेरा ही अंधेरा हो जाता है। और इस प्रकार हम केवल किसी के दुश्मनी से काम करना चाहते हैं। डियर फ्रेंड्स, today's message is good for all of us. We all like hatred and we think we become great by that. We are not going to become great. What Jesus is telling us, not only to be a Christian, but to be human. When we are human, we do good to others. We don't take the cost, but we say, let us go out of the way to be good. When we do that, everything will enlighten. We'll be able to forgive, we'll be able to understand, and we'll be able to live as true human people. People who have insaniyat, who have love, and who enlighten the whole world. Thank you, and God bless you.